Hey everybody, I'm Will with OVG360 here at the Tribute Community Centre in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. And I've got to be honest, I'm a little excited for this year's Touch a Truck. Not only are we hosting it back live on site at the venue, but we're also bringing back our Touch a Truck on the Road series. This year's a little different though. This year I've enlisted the help of some friends from some of our other OVG360 venues to help me out and check out some vehicles in their market. So stay tuned, let's go on a road trip together for this year's edition of Touch a Truck on the Road.
Hello, Chris O'Brien here, Canadian Sherp Adventures. This is the Sherp, all the way from Ukraine. I believe, look into it, this is the only company and the first in North America where you can book a Sherp tour. Sherping.ca. We're gonna have a blast. The Sherp is built in Ukraine. They test it for 7 hours, they ship it over, they take it apart and put it in shipping crates, ship it to Argo dealers worldwide, and they put it together, test it 7 hours, and bring it to whoever's buying it. Typically big industry use Sherps. Ontario hydro mining companies, survey companies, to go into the Arctic safely and come back where there's no roads. That's essentially what it's made for and what it was first made for in Ukraine. And since Argo started distributing them, a person like me decided to start a touring company, which when I'm looking into it, you find some online, but see if they're actually operating. I think I'm the first in North America. So the machine is basically made to bring you into the Arctic safely, or a desert, anywhere there's no roads. It floats. You can traverse rivers, drive over big logs, but it's not unstoppable. Like any machine, nothing's unstoppable. You could flip it. You can get it stuck. And you wouldn't want to cross the Atlantic Ocean, or never mind Lake Ontario. I'll say one thing, it's really fun in sand, deep sand, and it's really good in deep snow too, but like any vehicle, if you had 6 feet of snow, these tires or paddles, and it keeps pushing it up at the bottom, that snow getting harder and harder, those paddles won't have enough centrifugal force to pull you. So you're not invincible. It's any terrain, but I wouldn't go through 10 feet of light snow. But it's amazing in the snow. It's the big one is ice. Driving it on ice, and it shatters, and you fall into the water. As long as that ice isn't 2 feet thick, you're going to be able to pull back up onto the ice, no problem. All right, here we are in the driver's seat cockpit of the Sherp. Almost looks like you're in an airplane, eh? Well, I'll show you. Here is 6 gears. Clutch, gas at your feet, like a standard vehicle. 6 gears though. So that's one thing, you gotta watch the RPMs. So steering is just brakes. That's full brakes. If I want to turn left, I brake left, the right tires are moving. If I want to turn left doing 360s in a circle, pull left, floor the gas. So that's steering, gas and brake. So you got this panel up here, it's insane actually. This will light up and show you tire pressure of your tire. And the overall system's tire pressure will be on when you're driving, it tells you on the console. The exhaust controls the tire pressure. It's measured in pounds of mercury, but full is about 3 psi. Usually, so when you're on gravel, you want to run it to that. And you're starting to get off the gravel and hit something bumpier, drop it down to 100, which I think is somewhere around 1.5 psi, give or take. And the tires are softer, so you literally don't feel the bumps. You'll see that too when we're out. But and a little trick you can do when you're driving, just drop it a little lower than that. You're maybe at 1 psi. You hit a 2-foot log, you go over that and lift like an inch or two. It feels like you just drove over, you know, maybe a 2-inch log, literally. Or in a truck, like you could drive over a 2-foot log and you barely even know you've done it when you drop the pressure lower. So when one tire hits something, it deflates automatically. And the back tire goes over it, it deflates. And you can run the whole system on 0 and drive. I have been stuck in a swamp where I was stuck and brought the tires to 0, and it made it almost like tracks, and it slowly inched ahead. We are in the back of the Sherp. 4 seats. This would be the heater. Life jackets, first aid kit, and I got some tow ropes in there for the winch. And in this toolbox is a full boat safety kit. And there's some winch stuff, and they give you a bag of tools with basically almost everything to fix the Sherp on the fly.
That was pretty epic. Thanks, Chris, for taking us for a spin. Or a float. Technically both. Either way, thanks for watching this segment, and stay tuned because we're going to kick it off to our friends south of the border in Orlando. Have fun.
Hi, I am Valentina Rodriguez, and I'm the marketing manager for Addition Financial Arena here in Orlando, Florida. And we're going to go speak to the Winter Park Police Department about their APC unit. Come on. So tell us a little bit about this vehicle.
So we call this DORIS, that's for Downed Officer Rescue and Incursion System. This is for our SWAT team. This provides protection for them moving up in a dangerous environment where they could be fired upon by bad guys. It can fit up to 8 people in there uncomfortably. As you can see, it's not very padded, but they're all wearing armor and helmets anyway. It gets up to 60 miles per hour. We don't like to run it at that high speed, but it can do it. It is a naval amphibious vehicle. They did use these over in Iraq. We've never taken it into the water, but supposedly it can go into the water. We've had no need to do so. Yeah, luckily we don't have to use it a whole lot, mostly for search warrants and whatnot. But
This is awesome.
Yep.
Super cool. And do you guys have a bunch of these, or is just one vehicle you guys have for the
Just
unit?
one for us. We're part of the Metro SWAT team, so 2 of the other agencies that we have a joint SWAT team with, they have MRAPs, and we use those most of the time. But if an officer ever goes down, this is going to be our best way to pick them up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Thanks so much for checking out the Winter Park Police Department's APC unit here in Orlando, Florida at Addition Financial Arena. And thanks for tuning in to Touch a Truck on the Road.
Good morning and welcome to Cure Insurance Arena, Trenton, New Jersey's premier sports and entertainment venue. My name's Rob Carey and I'm the facilities manager here, and this is one of our 2 Zamboni ice resurfacers. The Zamboni ice resurfacer was invented in 1949 by an engineer named Frank Zamboni. This machine is used to recondition and resurface the ice during a hockey game. The Zamboni has a top speed of about 20 miles per hour, but we usually don't drive it that fast on the ice. It takes about 10 minutes to resurface the entire ice rink. The Zamboni has a 1.8 liter Volkswagen engine. It's driven by a hydraulic pump that supplies power to all 4 wheels. The conditioner has a planer blade that scrapes the ice and a series of augers to direct the snow towards the center of the unit and then up into the ice storage bin in the front. Once the Zamboni is filled with snow, we dump it into this pit where the snow melts and it's pumped off site. Thank you for tuning in to check out our Zamboni in Trenton, New Jersey as part of Touch a Truck on the Road.
Hi guys, Allie Geist here. I'm the marketing director at the Storm Out Vale Event Center in Topeka, Kansas. And stick around because we're going to go next door to the Evel Knievel Museum at the historic Harley-Davidson and check out Evel Knievel's touring Mack truck.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike Patterson from the Evel Knievel Museum in Topeka, Kansas. And today we're going to take a look at Evel Knievel's 1974 Big Red Mack truck. So Evel Knievel's Mack truck is a famous, iconic piece of American history. And we're lucky enough to have it in our museum. It's something that we actually restored here in Topeka, Kansas. Took it from it was junked almost, and brought it back to life. And that was an important thing to do because Evel was such a important person in American history. He was, a lot of people say, the father of extreme sports. And what this truck did, it hauled his show. So he traveled around the country in this, which carried his ramps, his motorcycles. But what was very unique about this truck was it had a coach on it. And as you can see the window there, that's where he used as his dressing room at each of the shows. Another thing that's unique about this 1974 Mack truck is the interior of the coach. It's all stars and stripes, and it's just full-on Evel Knievel. Nobody had really customized a semi-truck and trailer like this ever. So he was really the first to do that. And now you see this at NASCAR events and NHRA drag racing events where the trucks are, big fancy rigs that are sponsorships and, traveling down the road. This was the first. So Mack, their mascot is a bulldog. So you got the little bulldog. We actually added the little cape to it on the front there when we restored it. It's full on Evel Knievel. It's quite a spectacle. I mean, you've got to be a showman to have a rig like this. And it was actually part of his show. So when he went to an event, they would roll in the semi and park it at the venue, and then Evel would go inside. He would appear with just in normal clothes and his business suit, and crowd would wait, and then he would come out of the semi to start his show with his leathers on, and that was something he did at every event. So the coach is a pretty awesome part of this whole rig, and I want to take you inside. So come on. Now this is kind of a special tour because not everybody gets to come inside the rig, but you want to talk about history. You can feel it when you come in here. You can see the wood panel walls. That's all original. Some of the things in here, this was found with the coach when the whole rig was found, and it's the monkeys here, and what they stand for is see no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil, have no fun. And Evel had these. I don't know if you can see them in this picture, but they were right here in the rig, even back in the day. So fun to have those still here. Another kind of cool piece is the horseshoe, which we also found in here, which is above the doorway. And what we think would happen is when Evil would get ready to do his show, he would put his suit on and then go out the door, and we think he probably touched the horseshoe for good luck, you know, to make the jump. You can just see the 1970s decor in here, but this decor in that time frame was super high level. This was super high luxury, and we restored it back to original. And we used pictures and also some of his drivers that are still around, actually in Kansas, that were some of his drivers, and they would come here and help us make sure that we were putting this all back together right. Because when we got it, the ceiling was falling in, there was no floor, and everything was completely destroyed in here. So it took a lot of work to get it back where it was. And then back here, it was his dressing room. So this is where he would get ready. And these are actually pieces of his wardrobe that we have back here. Some full-on Evel Knievel type stuff. You know, I mean, this is the type of stuff he wore. And it was also rare that there was a restroom back here. You know, nobody had ever seen anything like that before, that somebody would have a restroom in a Mack truck. So that was very unique. So being in here always makes me, it really almost gives me goosebumps every time. And I've been in here, I don't know how many times, but just to see how he did things with his shows and how he got ready. And one of the ways he did get ready was right here at this bar. And kind of a cool feature too that nobody would know otherwise is we found a safe that was welded into the bottom of the coach, and this bar would swivel and reveal the safe, and that's where he put his cash, because he jumped for cash. He didn't take checks, and he also jumped for cash, and they had to pay him before the jump, not after, because he wanted to make sure he was going to get his money before he risked his life. So that's where that was actually at. One other really cool feature in here is this photo album. And the reason we've got this box over it is because this photo album was made by Evel Knievel himself. He told his wife, who told us, that he wanted this for his grandchildren so they could see what he did. So he put a bunch of clippings and pictures in there, and pretty cool to have that piece of American history in here. So that's what this is. This rig is an iconic piece of our pop culture history. We're proud to have it here in our museum in Topeka, Kansas. We hope that you can come by and see it and all of the other exhibits and artifacts that we have on display. So thank you for watching, and come visit us soon.
Hey all, thank you so much for joining us on our segment of the Touch a Truck on the road here at the Evel Knievel Museum. And thank you so much to Amanda and Mike for giving us the backstage tour of the Evel Knievel Mack truck here at the museum.
Hi, I'm Alina Sapp. I'm the corporate HR business partner here in Hamilton, Ontario for Core Entertainment. Today we're going to take a look at my 1991 Honda CRX. So this is a 1991 Honda CRX, and I have redone the outside. It was green and now it is a pearl white. Has custom body kit on it, custom fenders, 17-inch wheels, B18C motor swap. The skirt is all custom fabricated in. The moldings have been removed and bonded together. New front bumper, new back bumper, custom hood, updated lights that are HID, and then the fenders are custom cut in. So they were original fenders and they just custom made the levers in them. Okay, let's take a look inside. Haven't done much on the inside. Just a steering wheel and a couple new tacks and the controller for my VTEC for my engine. And it's also been converted to a push start from a key start. Thanks for checking out my 1991 Honda CRX today as part of the Touch a Truck on the road. See you next time.
Hello, I'm Julian with Fair Park and OVG360 here in Dallas, Texas. We're outside the Dallas Firefighters Museum. We're gonna go inside, talk to my buddy Mike, and he's gonna tell us a lot about the history of some really cool fire engines. Follow me.
Hi, I'm Mike Rogers and I'm with the Dallas Firefighter Museum. The museum is located at 3801 Perry, and it's originally it was Dallas Fire Station 10, later to be renumbered to Fire Station number 5, the Fair Park Station. It was built in 1907. Before they had fire trucks, what they had were horses and wagons. And so in this fire station, to my right, your left, there was a hose wagon with 2 horses. On that side, there was a ladder wagon with 2 horses. And in the back of the station was an assistant chief's buggy with 1 horse. And upstairs, there would be anywhere from 12 to 14 men that would live upstairs for 30 days at a time. They got 1 day off a month. And then they also got 3 hours a day off to go home for meals. This is an example of an 1880s hose cart. They call it a Cooney cart. It was built by the Cooney Company in St. Louis, Missouri. It was recently refurbished, so it's all hand refurbished by an Amish company in Southern Ohio, and it was returned back to the museum last November. And currently we have a steam engine that is out at the same place being refurbished, and we're looking forward to that coming back in a year. What the big contrast here is this is an 1880s hose cart, and to my left is a 1980s fire pumper. So there's 100 years difference approximately between this hose cart and that fire engine.
So how did this one get the water to fires back in the day?
This had to respond with a steam engine or a hand pumper, but mostly it was a steam engine. All right, and so the steam engine would supply the water and everything, and the hose cart carriage, it would supply the hose.
Yeah. How many people would fit onto this?
Probably 4 or 5.
4 or 5, okay.
Yeah, there'd be 1 or 2 up here on the up here at the front, of course the driver, and then there would be 2 or 3 in the back. These were a lot of the fire apparatus. They were converted later on. So if you found an actual hose cart instead of a carriage like this, a lot of the hose carts, they were converted over to farm and agricultural purposes. So we've lost them. All right, so this is unique that there's not a lot of these left. This is a pretty rare piece. All right, and you can see in behind it maybe that there's a hand-drawn hose cart. And so obviously the hand-drawn hose cart, that preceded this. So there was a transition from just bucket brigades with no apparatus. Then we went to hand-drawn hose carts and pumper wagons. And then we went to horse-drawn. Then we went to gasoline powered. And now we're on the diesel power.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
And just recently, the first hybrid fire truck was delivered to Los Angeles, California.
Wow.
Yeah. In the very beginning, to report a fire, people would run to the church, run inside the church and ring the bell. And they'd ring it as fast as they could, and that would draw attention to have everybody come with their buckets to figure out where the fire was. Well, as cities got bigger, that just wasn't working well. Of course, nobody had a phone because the phones hadn't been invented yet. They would put boxes about every 2 blocks in urban areas. All right? And it would be connected into the fire stations and to the headquarters station.
Wow. Thanks, Mike, for all that information about the Dallas firefighters and the history of these cool fire engines. This is Julian Bowman from Fair Park in Dallas, Texas with OVG360 signing off. Thanks for tuning in to Touch a Truck on the Road.
Danielle Phillips from Budweiser Gardens in London, Ontario, Canada, and today we're going to be checking out the Holy Roller.
What is the Holy Roller? Well, Holy Roller is a tank, obviously. So Holy Roller is one of 2 tanks in the Canadian Army that survived from Normandy beaches to the end of the Second World War. It is the only tank that we know of that actually landed on the assault, so the first guys on the beach. So the initial assault on Normandy, this tank, until the end of the war. It's the only one we know of in the world. So it's quite significant. So it is an early M4A2 Sherman tank. The British called them Shermans, so being part of the Commonwealth, we just carried on with that. It was built in Flint, Michigan in September of 1942. The regiment received it in May of 1944, weeks before boarding the ships to go over to Normandy. Well, my name's Gary Cambridge, and I was the team lead for the preservation team for the project for Holy Roller. In the 70s, I was a First Hussar. I left and joined the regular army, and I came back, rejoined the First Hussars. Now I'm part of the association as well. Holy Roller came out of the park on June 8th of 2021. We started some preservation process, we called it, because basically we just wanted to preserve what was left. So basically it took until December of 2021 to strip everything down. We had everything apart and gutted the inside completely. So from January until May, it was all putting it back together, making sure the paint sticks. So every Saturday from about August until May, end of May, the volunteers came in and worked on Holy Roller. We were fortunate to have 16 great people who basically just gave up family life for every Saturday to come in and work on the tank. And then we had about 16 businesses within the City of London that supported our efforts as well. The significance of it, well, again, it survived from the assault on D-Day on the beaches of Normandy to the end of the war. Never lost any crew members, so anybody who crewed in that tank was extremely lucky. It did take some hits from German anti-tank weapons, but survived it. Nothing penetrated the hull. It's one of 5 armored vehicles that were allowed to come back to Canada after the war. So the complete Canadian Army in Europe, only 5 armored vehicles were allowed to come back. This was one of them. It came back to the regiment in May of 1946 here in London. Went up to Borden to get some repairs done, came back in June of 46, and was with the regiment until approximately June of 1949, when the regiment offered it to the City of London as a war memorial, which in July of 49, the city accepted it as a war memorial. So it has great significance in that it survived the war, where many vehicles didn't. The First Hussars lost 346 tanks in 11 months. 357 days in a year, 346 tanks in 11 months is a high ratio, and we were one of the units that took a lot of casualties. So it survived all that. It represents the selflessness of that generation that put themselves forward for something bigger. It represents those who never came back, those who basically volunteered for the ultimate volunteering. And it's there as a remembrance of what we shouldn't be doing, what we should never have to do again. So it's there, and it can be symbolized for many things for many people. So it has great significance in bringing, just thinking about what it means.
Thanks for tuning in to learn more about the Holy Roller as part of Touch a Truck on the Road.
Well, that's a wrap for this year's edition of Touch a Truck on the Road. We want to thank all of our OVG360 venues for participating, as well as the vehicle partners that took us on a behind-the-scenes look at some of their unique vehicles in their markets. So, to you, the viewers, thanks for watching. Follow us on socials, and we hope to see you at our next live event.